Hi there! Before we begin today's video improper, I have an addendum. There's something I would like to say before we begin, and it is on the nature of language. The word queer is a word that people on the LGBTQIA+ spectrum sometimes use to refer to themselves and identify themselves with. This is not a general term. Some like it, some don't like it. Myself and my friends, we use it to refer to ourselves and our characters, but that should not be taken under any means as a green light to use that word, especially if you are heterosexual and cisgender. I would like to urge you to be considerate of the language that you use and just being mindful of what you say. Okay? Okay, and now, with the video improper. The patrons decided they wanted me to talk about writing queer characters, and here we are. Today, I have 5 points for you. 5 overall tips, 5 points that I want to make in regards to writing queer characters. Let's take it from the top, not with the point, but with the foundation for this conversation. If you're watching this video expecting a point explaining to you why you should write queer characters, I feel that you're already beginning a journey on the wrong foot. Queer people exist. They have always existed throughout history, and I personally feel that the notion that queer people have to justify why they should exist in fiction is at the root of this problem. So I ain't gonna talk about that, because queer people exist. And after all, the title and the thumbnail for this video say, the primer on how to write queer characters. So we're gonna jump right in to technique. What is my number 1 point for writing queer characters? I think you should treat these characters with the same respect and the same dedication that you do the rest of your characters. And by this, I mean that if you must do research, you should do research on getting to know what it means for a character to be this way or the other. You actually have to dedicate yourself to this the same way you would do any other character. You can't take shortcuts, you can't just go the easy way. It's not representation, it's not an effective representation of a group when you use stereotypical tropes, or, worse of all really, the continuing element in fiction where queer people die for the sake of somebody else's character development. And I know, we can have a whole video about the nature of token characters, but I'll just tell you right now what I feel in my heart, that a character who happens to be queer, who's just in the background and never actually achieves anything for the story, I have never felt that to be representation. It's always felt to me like a checkbox. If you want to write a queer character, I would like to inspire you to put them in the forefront of the story. You want to do this, go all out and give them your all. Okay? And now, for the second point. And I feel that this is something that comes up a lot, especially in questions I've gotten over the years, and finally I get to tackle it. You most definitely can write stories about queer people realizing that they're queer and dealing with adversity through the events that happened because of that, coming to terms with themselves and learning about themselves. You can have it be about that. You don't have to. It is not a requirement for every story that has a queer character in it to have their central plotline be about them being queer. You don't have to. You don't have to. This is another point where I can go on forever, but I just want to keep it really brief. It's okay to have stories be about a character and themselves. It doesn't have to, though. You can have a character who's not dealing with that, who's already come to terms with that. That's fine. Everybody learns about themselves differently. Some people have this huge aha moment. Some of them just knew it all their lives. It depends on the person, and I think it would be, especially with the next point, especially exhausting if every single story with a queer character in it was about themselves realizing they were queer. And now, for point number 3, which I've meant to cover forever ago, but here it goes. You do not have to justify or explain why a character is queer. You don't have to explain to the reader why your protagonist is gay, or why that other character is trans. You don't have to explain any of that. You don't have to justify it to the reader. And the reason for this is because people are just queer. You don't have to have paragraphs explaining. You don't have to have a whole scene establishing why our character is trans. People are just queer, and that's okay. And that's super fine. And while we're in the subject, I'm gonna just slide in what I've been meaning to talk about. And this is still part of point 3. I would like to inspire you, please, to not have magical reasons to justify why a character is queer. The reason why magical explanations, as well as just regular explanations, are problematic is because they seek to explain to people why someone is queer, as though you just can't be queer because you are. There has to be a reason. And that right there is problematic, because it's reducing a person to an explanation. And especially in regards to magical reasons. And I know that these explanations sometimes come with good intentions, but they achieve exactly the same result. The two examples that I was talking with some of my friends, and these two kept coming up, and I'm going to bring up with you to show you exactly how they're problematic. The first one is a character who is a shapeshifter. Their bodies can take upon whatever form they want, and therefore they are non-binary. They don't identify within the gender binary, neither as male nor female, and this is because they are a shapeshifter. And this right here is a little bit problematic because it again becomes an explanation. And now, as someone who happens to be non-binary, with non-binary friends, I can assure you none of us are shapeshifters. So the justification that because this character is a shapeshifter, they are non-binary, becomes, again, an explanation. You can be a shapeshifter and not be non-binary, and you can definitely be non-binary without being a shapeshifter. The other example, which is also really bad, is a character who happens to be gay, and it is justified because they were in a previous life a woman, and now they have been reincarnated in the body of a man. And that right there is the justification why a male character happens to find himself attracted to other men. That one's pretty bad. That one is way more straightforward than the previous one. And as I mentioned, the issue here is that it becomes an explanation. Men can't just like other men. I mean, of course, the only reason why a man would feel attracted to another man is because in a previous life he was a woman. These are very silly. And I would like to inspire you to not use them, and to not use magical explanations, and really explanations in general to justify to the readers why a character is queer. And now for the fourth point, which once again it's time to trample on another trope. And I'm telling you, from a place of love, from the bottom of my heart, there is no such thing as the lone queer friend. I cannot describe to you the moment I shared with my friends a few days ago when I was running my points by them. I wanted to get their feedback on this presentation. And we realized, all of us, that in our inner circle of friends, and the additional circles where we have our own friends outside of our group of main friends, all of us realized that we don't have straight friends. All of our friends are queer. I was running down the list myself, and I was like, non-binary, lesbian, trans, ace arrow, non-binary, no straight friends. So, in fiction, the idea of a single, lone queer character who willingly spends time with a circle of straight people out of their own volition seems a little silly. Now, you may be thinking, Max, this is a generalization, you're going too far, and to that, I offer the following point. I don't think it is unreasonable for people of a marginalized group to seek the company of people like them. As someone who has had straight friends, I can tell you from experience that the friction of those relationships was always ever present. And it's hard to talk about this without opening the can of worms that is toxic masculinity. I'll just say the point that the very language that is used creates friction. Even if a person means no ill, even if someone doesn't actually feel any particular dislike towards queer people in general, sometimes even just the deeply ingrained social expectations create friction. Sometimes it's just language. And as someone who's been through that, and my friends who have been through all that, we can just tell you that life is a lot better when you're surrounded by people who make you feel like you belong. People who don't barrage you with questions and demands of you to justify why you are the way you are. You might be catching a little theme going on today. And now, for the final point, and something that I know is going to ruffle feathers. Oh no, I'm gonna step on toes because I have something that I really want to say. But before I get to it, point number 5. And that is something that I've said forever. And please excuse the expression, but I'm gonna say it like I said it on Twitter so long ago. Just say they are gay, you coward. If your character is queer, if they're a man who feels attracted towards other men, if they're a woman who feels attracted towards people of all genders, if they're trans, if they're ace, if they're non-binary, you can just say it. You can just say it. You can just say it. It's 2018. You don't have to leave it between the lines for people to find it. I particularly feel that if it's a scavenge hunt, it doesn't really count as representation. I think you can just say it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I can feel it. I can feel it across time and space. But Max, what if these terms don't exist in the setting that my character happens to be in? Maybe they are in a setting 3,000 years into the future, in a post-apocalyptic dystopian land, or maybe they're in the past, in a feudal era. How can I say it? How can I make it clear? And to that I tell you, something that's a little bit harsh, but I know you will understand it. You're a writer. Figure it out. Find a way to say it. This is your job. This is what you do. Words are your craft. Find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. Honestly, sometimes all you really need is she really likes girls, and you're done. That was easy. She really likes girls. That's 4 words. That's really easy. Now, do you really have to say that your character is gay? Or that she's a lesbian? Or that our main character doesn't particularly care about gender? I think you do. I think you should say that. Because it's important. Because queer people exist. And I myself think that the justification that it's better to leave it up to the imagination, to put it between the lines, I think, honestly, that it's a sign of cowardice. Just say it. If I am worried that I don't know enough to give this character a label, and if I am concerned of what my publisher, what my readers would think of me, if the problem is prefaced with I or me, I think the problem doesn't lie in the story. In the words of my dear friend Eleanor, it sounds like you have a problem. And now, for a conversation that's been burning inside of me for a long, long time. I want to talk to you about a character in fiction who happens to be queer. He is a gay man who also happens to be a wizard. Nope, not that one. Dumbledore is a gay man. But you wouldn't know it because it's never mentioned in the books anywhere. And this particular bit of this critical key character to the story of Harry Potter is queer, but the readers don't ever know about it. And it's a little embarrassing when it comes out in the middle of an interview about a movie or on a radio show and it's somewhere completely external to the story. It's always bothered me, because I feel that it trips a lot of the things that I talked about today. Is Dumbledore good representation? I don't think so. And it's not just because you never know of Dumbledore's orientation. And it's not because Dumbledore doesn't behave in a particular way. That's nothing. The primary issue that I have is a branching path. Whether either A, J.K. Rowling realized Dumbledore was gay, and she felt afraid of saying that, felt afraid to hint at that, to just say it in the text, to just let that character be who they were, and just cut it all off, or suppressed it. Or there's the other reality, the one that burns inside of me, the idea that in this setting, in the world of Harry Potter, the most revered, the most respected, the most powerful wizard in the entire world, wielding the Elder Wand, the most powerful wand ever built, must remain a closeted gay man for fear of what society might think. I don't think that's good representation. Mostly because I feel that if queer people could just shoot fireballs out of wands, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't even have a reason to make this video. And I hate thinking about this argument, because it either becomes J.K. Rowling didn't realize how dumb this idea is, or was too lazy to do anything about it. And I'm calling it like I feel it, like I've always felt it, like it always felt weird to me that the most powerful, smartest, most intelligent person, the most revered, the head of the biggest school of wizardry can't just come out as a gay man? Really? What are people gonna do about it? He is the most powerful person in the whole world. Hi there, Max here. I hope this video has been insightful. I hope that if anything, I gave you another point of view. At the end of it all, like I said at the beginning, come into things with an open mind. And if you're ever uncertain, when you do the research, when you write that character with the same respect and love as you do the rest of your OCs, and you're not certain, reach out to somebody. It's the best advice I can give you. Reach out to someone, particularly someone who happens to be queer, and get their feedback on it. What did they think of the way you handled the character? And you have to come in seeking to understand. And I know this may come off as being a little bit cruel, but I'm just gonna tell you what I actually feel. I think it is very easy. I think it is incredibly easy to create a queer character who is a better representational icon than Dumbledore from Harry Potter. And I know, I almost can't say it with a straight face because it's like the lowest bar I could give you. But I know you can do it. Come in seeking to understand, give them a chance to be themselves, and don't force them onto the spotlight to die for someone else, or to explain to the world why they aren't like everyone else. I've been thinking about this video for like 2 weeks. Maybe even more than that. This is a video that I wanted to do a long time ago, and I put it to the patrons. I asked the patrons, hey, do you guys want me to do a video on this? And let me tell you, the other two options didn't get as many votes. And in case you're interested in my stuff, hi there, my name is Max. I do writing advice videos twice a week on YouTube. And if you want to watch my videos early, they go up on patreon.com/mkieran. By pledging just $1, that's just, I'm actually not kidding to use just $1, you can watch my videos a week before they go live on YouTube. And my big workshops like this one, you can watch them a month before they go live on YouTube. You get to vote on polls. There's a new poll in the description down below. Pledge $1, vote on that poll, and get to watch the video I make from it a month before it goes live on YouTube. And if you pledge a little bit more, you actually get a shout out, you get to listen to me butcher your name, like the people on the screen right now. A. Howard, Amelia, Angela, Brenda, Harriet Holman, Irina Phoenix, Joe, Luki, Mark Maruska, Pat Eichenson, Rain Misoa, Soul Muse, and a big shout out to my latest shout out patron tier, Nicola. Thank you, Nicola. And I'm sure I said your name in like 2 different ways, Nicola, I'm so sorry. But hey, welcome! And welcome everyone else to the end screens, where I just tell you what I was feeling about this video. I've been meaning to make this video for a very, very, very long time. And I was inspired not only by my friends, but also by some of my viewers who reached out recently asking for tips on this. People who wanted to understand. And that right there gives me life. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. And I hope that if anything, I give you another point of view, I gave you a different way to look at something. And I hope you go out there, and regardless of what you write and what you do, I hope you go out there, beginning at the start of your journey, seeking to understand and to make the best stories that you can. What are they gonna do to Dumbledore? He's a wizard!